second chapter. As I already mentioned in the lesson this morning, tonight we're going to continue our study on premillennialism, and we're going to mainly deal with the concept of Jesus ruling on the throne of David. We all remember who David is from what the scriptures teach us about him. He's a young shepherd boy who was soon anointed to be king over God's nation of Israel. He was the second king over Israel, succeeding King Saul. And you can read about David and his exploits beginning in the book of 1 Samuel and reading about the kind of man he was, the kind of character that he was. And throughout the Old Testament prophecies, there is made mention of the fact that the Messiah that is going to come is going to sit or rule from David's throne. And that's the point that we're going to be covering this evening. Premillennialism teaches that, as we discussed this morning, that Judaism, or the Jewish nation, is going to be restored. Not necessarily Judaism in its practices, but that the Jews would all migrate back to the land of Palestine and the city of Jerusalem, and the nation would be restored as God's nation. And then another facet of premillennialism is the fact that Jesus is going to physically reign on the throne of David for 1,000 years over his people. Now, the fact that Jesus is going to reign on the throne of David is something the scriptures teach. Is he going to literally sit upon that throne? Is he literally going to physically be on that throne? That's the question that is at hand. Premillennialism says yes. The scriptures teach something different. And that's what we're going to be discussing this evening. Now, actually, I want to start in the book of Isaiah, the 9th chapter, and verse 7 is the first passage we want to look at this evening. Isaiah chapter 9 and in verse 7 teaches the fact that the Messiah was going to sit upon the throne of David. It says, "There will be no end to the increase of his government or of peace on the throne of David and over his kingdom, to establish it and to uphold it with justice and righteousness from then on and forevermore. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will accomplish this." Now, we read some of these passages this morning. It's definitely a passage referring to Christ, referring to the Messiah, and it says that he is going to rule on the throne of David and over his kingdom. And also, if you look in the New Testament, over in the book of Luke, the first chapter, verses 32 and 33, as the angel Gabriel has appeared and is informing Mary of what Jesus was going to do, Gabriel tells Mary this very same fact, that Jesus is going to rule upon the throne of David. Luke 1, beginning at verse 32. We read there that he will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High, and the Lord God will give him the throne of his father David. And he will reign over the house of Jacob forever, and his kingdom will have no end. This is before Jesus is born. Mary is being told that she is carrying the Messiah, that she is the one chosen to give birth to him, and Gabriel says that he will rule from the throne of his father David. Now, the question isn't whether Jesus is going to sit on David's throne, as I said before. The question is it going to be a physical throne, or is it going to be a spiritual throne? That is the question. And with all of these other aspects of premillennialism, it teaches the physical. It teaches that the physical is going to take place. Because we're going to see the scriptures again teach something different, teach something other than what premillennialism teaches. I want to first of all go to that verse in Jeremiah, the 22nd chapter that we had turned to earlier. Jeremiah chapter 22. We're going to read a prophecy given here by Jeremiah concerning the last king in the line of David that sat on the throne over the nation of Israel. In Jeremiah, the 22nd chapter, beginning at verse 24. We read about a man named Coniah who was a descendant of David. And we read what was going to happen. As Jeremiah tells us in verse 24, "As I live, declares the Lord, even though Coniah, the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, were a signet ring on my right hand, yet I will pull you off. And I shall give you over into the hand of those who are seeking your life, yes, into the hand of those whom you dread, even into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and into the hand of the Chaldeans. I shall hurl you and your mother who bore you into another country where you were not born, and there you will die. But as for the land in which they desire to return, they will not return to it. Is this man Coniah a despised, shattered jar, or is he an undesirable vessel? Why have he and his descendants been hurled out and cast into a land they had not known? O land, 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 hear the word of the Lord. Now notice in verse 30, thus says the Lord, write this man down childless, a man who will not prosper in his days, for no man of his descendants will prosper, sitting on the throne of David or ruling again in Judah. Now, this passage plainly teaches, this prophecy is given here, that Coniah, the king who was ruling over Judah at this time, was going to be delivered into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, was going to be taken away into captivity. He and his mother were going to be cast out, taken into captivity. And it plainly says also that none of his descendants are going to sit upon the throne of David and be ruling in Judah. Now the issue is clear, that no descendant of Coniah would ever again prosper ruling from the throne of David. That there was not going to be anybody who would. Now, it's talking about David's throne in Judah is what it's referring to. It's referring to his physical throne. Because after this, no one sat in that throne as Israel was cast into captivity. But as we read over in the book of Matthew, the first chapter, we read that Jesus was one of Coniah's descendants. In Matthew's first chapter, beginning at verse 12, we're going to be reading through the genealogy there. In Matthew chapter 1, at verse 12, it says that after the deportation to Babylon, to Jeconiah, who was Coniah, by the way, that was his proper name was Jeconiah, was born Shealtiel, and to Shealtiel Zerubbabel. And if you skip down to verse 16, and to Jacob was born Joseph, the husband of Mary, by whom was born Jesus, who is called Christ. So Jesus was born into this line of descendants. And what did Jeremiah proclaim? It said no one of Coniah's descendants was going to sit upon David's throne and prosper. I think the point is very clear. No one was going to sit on that physical throne again from this man's line, from this man's heritage. No one was going to. No one was going to occupy that physical throne anymore. No one was going to sit on David's earthly throne and prosper, what Jeremiah says through the Lord. So obviously, we're not talking about David's physical throne, because no man would ever sit on it and prosper. You also look back in the book of Zechariah, the 6th chapter, another one of the Old Testament prophets, Zechariah chapter 6. We're going to be reading down there at about verse 12. This is another point that helps add force to the fact that Jesus is not going to be on an earthly throne. In Zechariah, the 6th chapter, beginning at verse 12, it says, Then say to him, Thus says the Lord of hosts, Behold, a man whose name is Branch, for he will branch out from where he is, and he will build the temple of the Lord. Yet it is he who will build the temple of the Lord, and he who will bear the honor and sit and rule on his throne. Thus he will be a priest on his throne, and the council of peace will be between the two offices. Now, this is referring to Christ as the branch, and we established this morning that there would be a branch that would spring from the root of Jesse, that there would be this branch, and it was obviously referring to Jesus, the Messiah. And it's established here that the Messiah was going to branch out and build the temple of the Lord, and as he built the temple of the Lord, then he will rule on his throne, and he will also be a priest upon his throne. Now, if you turn to the New Testament, in Hebrews the 8th chapter, and down at verse 4, we read that Jesus could not have served as a priest under the physical requirements under the law of Moses. In Hebrews the 8th chapter, and we're also going to be looking at another passage here in Hebrews as well. I want to look at Hebrews chapter 8 and verse 4, first of all. We read there that now if he were on earth, he would not be a priest at all, since there are those who offer the gift according to the law. Now this is referring to Jesus, that if he were on earth, he would not be a priest. He would not be able to serve as a priest. If you go back to the book of, or you go back to the 7th chapter, and up in verse 14, it says, "For it is evident that our Lord was descended from Judah, a tribe with reference to which Moses spoke nothing concerning priests." Now the Messiah, as mentioned in Zechariah, the 6th chapter, was going to be a king and a priest. And while he was ruling on the throne, he was also going to serve as a priest. Now could Jesus have physically done that? Could Jesus have met the requirements of physically done that? Of course he could not. Because he was not from the tribe of Levi. He could not have been a physical priest. But as it teaches through the book of Hebrews that Jesus is our spiritual high priest. That even though he was not of the tribe of Levi, that God has established him as our spiritual high priest. He is also our spiritual king and Lord. And therefore we have harmony. Therefore we have fulfillment of Zechariah the 6th chapter. That Jesus is ruling over his kingdom as king, and he is also serving his people as their high priest. Just as Zechariah 6 said that it would be. Now, there's no other way you can harmonize it. Jesus cannot physically serve as a priest on earth. So if you can't serve as a priest on earth, then he's going to be a priest and king at the same time. There's no other conclusion to draw other than that Jesus' reign on the throne was going to be a spiritual reign upon the throne. I want to notice something else. You go to the book of the book of 2 Samuel, the 7th chapter. Our next point, 2 Samuel chapter 7. We're going to begin reading there at verse 12. This is something that Nathan, the prophet, declared to David. 2 Samuel 7, verses 12 to 13. This is Nathan the prophet speaking to David, and he says, "When your days are complete, and you lie down with your fathers, I will raise up your descendant after you, who will come forth from you, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. I will be a father to him, and he will be a son to me. When he commits iniquity, I will correct him with the rod of men and the strokes of the sons of men. But my loving kindness shall not depart from him, as I took it away from Saul, whom I removed before you." So notice what God tells David here. Notice what God tells David here through Nathan. He tells him that after you die, verse 12, when your days are complete, and you lie down with your fathers, I will raise up your descendants to sit upon your throne. An obvious reference to Jesus. An obvious reference to the Christ. Now, there's no other conclusion that you can draw there. And notice what he also said in verse 16, that your house and your kingdom shall endure before me forever, and your throne shall be established forever. So it's going to be an eternal reign. It was going to be something that lasted forever. Now, here's what we're saying. Premillennialism teaches that Jesus is not yet sitting upon that throne. Premillennialism teaches that Jesus will not sit on that throne until after the resurrection. Until after the resurrection of the dead, when he comes back to the earth. Actually, what premillennialism says is that there's going to be a rapture, so to speak, and people are going to be taken away into heaven. There's going to be a period of tribulation here on the earth for 7 years. And after that period of tribulation, Jesus will come back down with his saints and will rule and sit on the throne of David for 1,000 years. And this is all to take place after the resurrection of the dead. But notice what it said here, what Nathan told David. Is that this throne was going to be established, this kingdom was going to be established while he was in the grave. While David was still yet in the grave. At verse 12, when your days are complete and you lie down with your fathers, I will raise up your descendant after you. This was going to take place before the resurrection of the righteous from the dead. And definitely David would be one of those, righteous to be raised from the dead, is the way the Scriptures describe it. And here, he's told that this is going to happen while he is still yet in the grave. Now, you can't harmonize the two. If it's going to happen when David's in the grave, well, then David is one of the unrighteous. If it's going to happen while David was in the grave, then obviously this is plainly teaching that this was going to happen when David rested in the grave with his father. That this was not something that was going to happen after David himself had been resurrected. And this also harmonizes with what was taught on the day of Pentecost in Acts the 2nd chapter. In Acts chapter 2, as the Apostle Peter was proclaiming the gospel to those people that were gathered there that day, he talked about what David had said about being put upon his throne. In Acts the 2nd chapter, and we'll begin reading back up at verse 29. This is after Peter has referred to David's prophecy about how he was going to be raised from the dead and to sit upon his throne. And notice what it says in verse 29. Peter says, "Brethren, I may confidently say to you regarding the patriarch David, that he both died and was buried, and his tomb is with us to this day. And so, because he was a prophet, he knew that God had sworn to him with an oath to seat one of his descendants upon his throne. He looked ahead and spoke of the resurrection of the Christ. He was neither abandoned to Hades nor did his flesh suffer decay. This Jesus God raised up again, to which we are all witnesses. Therefore, having been exalted to the right hand of God, having received from the Father the promise of the Holy Spirit, he has poured forth this, which you both see and hear." So saying when David proclaimed this, he was obviously looking forward to the resurrection of the Christ. That's what it was referring to. Peter said that's what it was referring to. Now, verse 31, he looked ahead and spoke of the resurrection of the Christ. So we know that God established it. We know that it happened after Jesus' resurrection from the grave. But as Peter pointed out, David was still in the tomb. David was dead. He said that he died, was buried, his tomb is with us to this day, he said at verse 29. The premillennial theory says that David would be alive when Jesus was established on the throne. So you see, it doesn't harmonize with what the Scriptures teach, especially with what the Scriptures teach about David and whether David was alive or whether he was still in the tomb. Now, the reign of Jesus on David's throne is not an event awaiting a future fulfillment. But the Scriptures teach that it has already happened. Let's go to a passage that teaches that. Over the book of Revelation, the 3rd chapter, we're going to begin reading there at verse 21. Jesus himself declared that this event has already happened, and he has already been seated upon that throne. And this is in Jesus' very own words. Revelation, the 3rd chapter, beginning at verse 21. Notice what Jesus promised to those Christians in the church at Laodicea, those who were faithful to him. At verse 21, he says, "He who overcomes, I will grant to him to sit down with me on my throne, as I also overcame and sat down with my Father on his throne." Notice what Jesus said. Those who overcome, those who are faithful, can sit down with me on my throne. Notice what Jesus said. As I also overcame, meaning he already done it. He already accomplished it, and sat down with my Father on his throne. So this is something Jesus has already done. He's overcame and he has already sat down upon that throne. Now someone may point out and say, well, wait a minute. It doesn't say Jesus is sitting on David's throne. It says Jesus is sitting on his Father's throne. Well, trying to separate the two, you can't do it. Because David's throne was the Father's throne. You can't separate the two. Let me show you. Let me point that out to you. David's throne and the Father's throne are biblically the same. In the book of 1 Kings, the 2nd chapter, and that verse 12, if you'll just follow me for a moment. 1 Kings chapter 2 and verse 12. teaches that Solomon sat upon the throne of his father David. 1 Kings chapter 2 and verse 12. It says that Solomon sat on the throne of David his father, and his kingdom was firmly established. But if you look in the book of 1 Chronicles, chapter 29 and in verse 23, you read where David's throne and the throne of the Father are actually one and the same. 1 Chronicles 29 and at verse 23, we read there that Solomon sat on the throne of the Lord as king instead of David his father, and he prospered in all Israel obeyed him. One verse says he sat on the throne of his father David, the other verse says that he sat on the throne of the Lord. So the throne of David and the throne of the Lord are really one and the same. You cannot separate the two. For David was anointed by God as king over Israel. Now, did David do some things that were wrong? Yeah. Did he make some poor decisions? Did he make some poor errors in his judgments? Yes. He made mistakes like everyone does. But he was the Lord's anointed king. And the throne that he sat on was the throne over the Lord's people. So those thrones were one and the same. So when Jesus sat down on the Father's throne, he was actually also on the throne of David. And he's presently sitting on that throne. He's ruling and reigning upon that throne until the last enemy is destroyed. Go to the book of 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter. We're going to look at verses 25 and 26 there. As the Apostle Paul is talking about the resurrection from the dead. In 1 Corinthians 15 and verse 25, notice what Paul says there. For he must reign until he has put all his enemies under his feet. The last enemy that will be abolished is death. If you read through the context here of 1 Corinthians 15th chapter, it plainly teaches that Jesus is ruling and reigning over the kingdom today. You back up and look at verse 24, where Paul says, then comes the end when he delivers up the kingdom to the God and Father. And he's abolished all rule, all authority and power. Jesus is ruling over the Father's kingdom at this time. But after the judgment day, he's going to return that throne back to the Father. He's going to return it back to God to subject it to him when that final enemy is abolished, and that enemy is death. And when those who are Christ at his coming are risen from the grave to die no more, that last enemy will be abolished for eternity. And Jesus will deliver the kingdom back to God. So, when we speak about Jesus being on David's throne and ruling from the throne of David, what it simply means is that Jesus has the power and the authority of a king. And that God is the one who has given him this power and this authority. And this power and this authority was to last until the end of this age, when he returns the kingdom back to the Father. Speaking of Christ on David's throne, is saying that he has all authority. Go to the book of Ephesians, the first chapter. Down to verse 21, we read there, actually we back up to verse, the end of verse 19, where he says, these are in accordance with the working of the strength of his might, which he brought about in Christ, and he raised him from the dead, and seated him at his right hand in the heavenly places, far above all rule and authority and power and dominion, and every name that is named, not only in this age, but also in the one to come. And he put all things in subjection under his feet, and gave him his head over all things to the church, which is his body, the fullness of him, who fills all in all. Nowhere in the Scriptures does it ever describe Jesus being put upon an earthly throne. After you read one of the gospel accounts, after Jesus has performed some miracles and has gained a following, there was a multitude of people that wanted to make him their king. They wanted to physically take him and anoint him as their king. But he didn't allow it. He did not allow it. Because that was not his purpose. That was not his reason for coming. But he came to establish a spiritual king. He came to suffer and bleed and die on the cross and be raised from the dead and exalted to the right hand of God to rule over God's spiritual house, God's spiritual kingdom, the church. And it is in that position that he reigns on the throne of David, and he is ruling and reigning today. Next Sunday morning, we're going to be examining the passage in Revelation, the 20th chapter, which deals with this theory of premillennialism, or actually it's the text where they try to establish this theory of premillennialism. Hopefully we'll be able to cover that material in one lesson, but if for some reason we don't, we will wrap it up next Sunday evening. But I hope we can plainly see that the reign of Christ on the throne of David is a biblical fact, but it is not a physical reign. It is that of a spiritual nature. And hopefully by studying those verses together this evening, we can reach that conclusion. If you'd like these verses to jot down, someone has already requested that when the series is done, they want all of the notes from the series. They might have them for their personal use, and if anyone else would like to, be sure to let me know so you can look this material over and study it out further yourself if you would like. I thank you very much for your attention this evening. If there's one in our audience that is subject to the invitation of Christ, we invite you to come forward. Let your needs be made known, and we'll do what we can do to assist you. If you are not a Christian and you want to be baptized into Christ this evening, you must believe in your heart that Jesus is Christ, the Son of God, your Savior, who suffered and died on the cross for your sins. You must have a willingness to repent, which means to turn away from the way that you've lived your life in the past. Bring your life in harmony with God's commands and with God's will. To confess Jesus as your Lord and Savior, and to obey the command of baptism, which we find people did throughout the book of Acts. It's a direct command from Jesus himself, as he told his apostles, preach the gospel to every creature. He that believeth and is baptized shall be saved. You want that salvation, you want to share in the blessings of being a Christian. What puts you into Christ, where all spiritual blessings are. You go forward this evening and be baptized into Christ for remission of your sins. Or if you're a Christian, you seek the prayer of the congregation on your behalf for whatever reason.